All right, guys, today in class we talked about generating equivalent expressions. So yesterday in class we looked at two expressions and we identified if they were equivalent or not. Today we're using the word generate because we're making expressions that are equivalent. And today we're doing that by combining like terms. So there's a couple steps that we're going to do to show our work for combining like terms and hopefully keep our work nice and neat and organized. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at our expression and we're going to put a circle around all of the variables. So one tidbit to include is to make sure that you include any subtraction signs because if we ignore those subtraction signs, we're going to get the answer wrong. So put a circle around all of your variables and include any subtraction signs. Then we're going to combine their coefficients. So whatever the coefficient in front of the variables are, we're going to combine those. After we circle up our variables and combine them, we're going to put a square around all of our constants. And again, we've got to be sure to include any subtraction signs that we see. And then we're just going to combine the constants. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples together. We're going to start in the blue box here. We have 8n plus 4 plus 9 minus 5n. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to circle all of the variables. So 8n contains a variable, so we're going to put a circle around that. And then we have a minus 5n. So I'm going to put a circle around the entire minus 5n. Notice how I kept my subtraction signs there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to combine those. So 8n minus 5n leaves us with 3n. Okay, so since they're n's, we can combine them. They both have the same variable. We can put them together. All right, so now we're going to put squares around the constants. So I have a plus 4 as a constant, and I have a plus 9 as a constant. Remember, we talked about constants were numbers that aren't going to change. They're just our regular numbers. So I have 4 plus 9. I'm going to combine those, and I get plus 13. Okay, so our simplified expression is 3n plus 13. Now, I can't simplify it any further because I can't combine 3n and 13. This is a coefficient with a variable and this is a constant, and we can't put those together. We don't know what n is, so we cannot put those together. This is as simple as this expression gets. Okay, so this is our final answer, 3n plus 13. Let's take a look at the example in the pink box. We have 12r plus 14 minus 12. So the first thing we're going to do is put a circle around our variables. So I'm going to circle 12r because it contains a variable. And as I look through the rest of my expression, there are no more variables to combine with it. So since there's no more variables to combine, I'm just going to drop down that 12r. It's going to stay exactly the same. I didn't add anything to it. I didn't take anything away. Now, my next step is to put a square around the constants. So I have a plus 14 and a minus 12, and those are my two constants, and now I'm going to combine those. So I have 14 minus 12 leaves me with a plus 2. Okay, plus 2. I can't combine 12r and 2. That's a coefficient and that's a constant, and they don't go together because I don't know what r is. So 12r plus 2 is my final answer. That's as simple as that expression can get. Okay, let's take a look at the purple box. We have n plus 10 plus 9n minus 3. First step, we're going to put circles around our variables, and I have n is a variable, and then I have plus 9n is a variable. So I'm going to combine those two. There is a coefficient with this n here that we don't write. And we don't write it because there is one n written here and there is a 1 in front of here. Because if we take 1 times this 1n, it's just going to stay exactly the same. So this is 1n plus 9n, and that gives me 10n. Okay, so now I'm going to put squares around my constants. So I have a square around plus 10. And then I have a square around minus 3. Again, be careful with your subtraction signs. We have to include those. So I'm going to combine 10 minus 3, and I get a plus 7. So 10n plus 7 is as simple as this expression can get. I cannot combine my variables and coefficients with the constant. So 10n plus 7 is my final answer.